Northwest wild. Hunting, fishing is my kind of style. I float the Wainuchi when it gets hot. I'm proud of all the things that I've got. I'm digging the moss bags up in the sand, and after work a cold beer in my hand, picking wild berries off God's land, and drinking my buddy's homemade wine. Living Northwest wild. Hunting, fishing is my kind of style. I float the Wainuchi when it gets hot. I'm proud of all the things that I've got. I'm digging in moss bags up in the sand, and after work a cold beer in my hand, picking wild berries off God's land, and drinking my buddy's homemade wine in the Northwest wild.
Hey, good evening and welcome to Fish on Northwest. Wayne England, Tommy Donlin, and special guest slash special co-host slash little fella there from the east side, Jarod Higginbotham. How you doing, buddy?
I'm awesome, brother. I'm having a good time. Yeah, I'm good.
You are awesome. That's why you're here. So so glad you could join us. No sense just waiting. A personality your size needs to be introduced right from the start, so people can take the full 2 hours and have the Higginbotham experience.
Yeah, sometimes it takes some people to warm up, right?
If you were a ride at a playground, the line would be a mile long.
It would be. Oh, I like that. That's a good analogy. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah,
I'm going to steal that.
Thanks for making the drive over. Thanks for getting up at 2:45 this morning and hitting the water. We had a great time, although, you know, Chinook are a bit of a loop, but we'll get into that later as we talk Puget Sound.
That's right.
Tommy, we got a lot of things to cover tonight. Tons of fisheries to cover, lots of salmon, lots of tuna. Boy, you're
finally,
baby, right? We're going to talk some tuna. I got a how-to, Jarod, with you in the bait lab. Going to get you guys ready for Buoy 10, which is coming up shortly here. Opener is August 14th. We do have a window of opportunity, and all indications are we could see a pretty outstanding opportunity on those Chinook when they finally land in that lower Columbia. So want to help people get ready for that, and you're going to do that with a number of items you brought via Yakima Bait and some of the gear you can easily rig to make most of you have successful days at night.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm really glad you're willing to do that with us.
Yes.
It's going to be fantastic. Before we get too far along, I want to remind everybody that Fish on Northwest is presented by Better Homes and Gardens Pacific Commons Real Estate, located in Puyallup, Washington, and of course, Tommy, our good buddies out there at Defiance Marine, manufacturers of the Defiance, Arima, and Allied Series boats, and I still have that 21-foot Mustang at the forehead of my brain.
In your sights.
And every time I'm out there on Puget Sound watching those, 20, 21 foot of whatever build of boat with that hardtop cabin go cruising by, I'm just like, oh, I just can't wait, right?
You showed me one today.
Still for sale?
Boat is still for sale.
Oh!
Boat is still for sale, and yeah, so we're going to get done with our time up there in northern Puget Sound, or Area 10, and if I don't have a couple of these guys coming through here by, say, August 4th-ish, 5th, I'm going to drop the price by $1,000. So we're going to be at $37.5 for a 2015 Raider with low hours on that main motor. I think I got 160 hours on the main motor. So well equipped. The pictures and all the information is on our Facebook page. Check it out. Yes, the Raider is still for sale, and somebody's going to get that boat and be very happy that you jumped at the opportunity. So with that, we have a number of things going on throughout the Pacific Northwest and beyond. Tommy, first of all, let's remind everybody, you need bait, want to get through your Puget Sound fishery or get ready for Buoy 10 especially. There's a great opportunity down there. Harbor Herring with our good buddy Patrick Gaffney, Gaffney's Guide Service. Also, Patrick runs a fantastic herring supply chain in Harbor Herring. And for those that are looking for his product, if you're fishing Tacoma or Puget Sound area, Point Defiance Marina, up north, a little further north of us, LFS Bellingham, the Hungry Whale in Westport. So if you're going to roll some bait out there in Westport, stop by the Hungry Whale. And of course, D&G Baits out of Portland for you guys fishing out the coast off of from the Portland area. And then, of course, the Fox Island Grocery. So there are a handful of places you can get Patrick's bait. That green label is second to none, Tommy.
It is. It's proven.
And you got to start with good bait to end with good bait.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize that. You got to have good bait to start with. If you don't have it to start with, it really doesn't matter how good you're curious.
It's like putting lipstick on a pig, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're okay. Easy.
Yeah.
I am from the east side.
This is true. Hey, so on the way home from Puget Sound this afternoon, Larry Phillips gave me a call from WDFW. We were just catching up because I had called him a couple weeks ago and we were playing phone tag. Talked about a number of things and he kind of dropped a hint. Excuse me. Area 1 pending closure. And then, of course, right before we went on this evening, about 4:30, we got an email from WDFW. In fact, Area 1 is closing on the 27th.
Last day.
Last day will be the 27th. After the midnight 27th, right?
Yep.
So, again, we
saw that coming.
We discussed it last week.
We did.
Here on Fish on Northwest. And we talked about that coho quota.
Yeah. I'd really like to see us go to kind of a split season with Chinook and coho, to where let's at least get one good month of Chinook fishing in before we turn on the coho valve,
right?
Because they're voracious biters. I mean, they're eating the downrigger clips. You throw that downrigger clip in the water, and they're hitting that. They're hitting your spoon before you can get it on the downrigger clip.
Yeah.
So that's really what I'd like to see. I know there's a challenge there with the charter fleet, right? Because the charter fleet wants to be able to keep both the Chinook and the coho so that their clients can go home with something if they don't get into that king bite. So.
If they don't get into the king bite and then coho are there and readily available and it's like, hey, we know we're at least going to go home with those. Problem is, it's all about the quota. I flat out asked Larry, kind of a ballpark, rough field guesstimate, how much of that Chinook quota are we leaving on the table by having to close Area 1 due to restraints on the coho numbers? And you and I talked about, we're going like, maybe 30-40%. Man, I got a bug in my throat. 60%.
60%.
Potentially 60%. Now that's a kind of rough guesstimate based on creel sampling and effort and just what they know, but we're giving up 60% because we go out there hard and fast and get all them little coho, 3 to 5 pound coho.
That is so sad.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. I get it, as you mentioned, the charter fleet. We got to find balance. We got to find opportunity. We should be able to take our ocean areas and maximize our opportunity on the quota that's been given to us.
Yeah, I think the opportunity for success in that battle is a lot higher in Area 3 and Area 4, where you have less than a handful of charters in those areas. They would be more amenable to that. Right. It allows them to run, a longer season. Yeah. For sure.
So, maybe based on the outcome of what what will take place now starting Sunday, perhaps, that'll weigh in for next year's North of Falcon, and as we try to balance seasons and run the numbers and see where we can land and try to work with the charter fleet and say, hey, how do we extend this opportunity? We got a lot of recreational folks running their own boats and getting out there on the water and spending a lot of money that want to have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And the longer that stays open, the longer we have opportunity in that particular ocean fishery, the more we spread out the pressure. Pressure, right?
Exactly.
So it's kind of a win-win for everybody, actually.
And those ocean coho, make no mistake, they're doing very well out there.
They're doing really well.
Okay. There's so much bait out there, and there are so many coho. From my trips to CQ and off of Nia Bay, at times you're seeing them just smashing bait right on the surface, smashing herring, and they're so thick that almost to the point where I'd like to say you could just walk on their backs. They're just everywhere. You just look and there's, they're puddling here, they're puddling over there. I mean, they're just everywhere.
I think as we get later into season into our tributary terminal fisheries for coho fishing in our Grays Harbor rivers and some of our Puget Sound rivers that have decent numbers of coho coming back, I think those numbers will be bumped substantially higher than preseason forecast. But again, we would rather they undershoot than overshoot.
Right.
We've experienced the fact of when they overshoot and then it falls short, close seasons early, we take a back seat. The Endor tribes also shut down. They showed conservation restraints previously. Again, I would rather see those numbers come in lower than higher.
Yep.
We're experiencing that on the Upper Columbia right now, right? Because the sockeye run and the summer Chinook run was projected very low, and it exceeded their expectations by, you know, whatever it was that they actually opened some of those fisheries earlier for all of us. And so instead of all of us being jammed into this one fishery and then jammed into the next one, it spread us out from all the way from Brewster all the way down to Tri-Cities, which
is
opportunity, opportunity, and everybody's catching fish, right? It was fun. They're spread out. It's not crowded. It's not, you know, it was just a really, really, really good opportunity for, you know, charters and, you know, guides and sport fishermen.
That Chinook fishery you're speaking of there, Big J, is preseason forecast, and that was 38,000. They bumped it to 65. Extended the summer extension in the lower river twice. Ample opportunity for a lot of people.
It's great,
they
man.
came back and opened up summer steelhead in lower stretches as well.
Yeah.
To complement that.
That's beautiful, man.
Well. And that's the kind of stuff we haven't heard in quite some time.
It isn't, and it's very exciting, you know, from not only from a sportsman's point, but from a tackle manufacturer's point too, because we want people fishing. You know, it's not like I just want to sell tackle. I want people fishing. I mean, I don't even care if you're fishing my gear. Go fish. Have fun. Take your family, like, you know, I do my boy or my whoever, right? Take them out. Share that smile. Teach them how to fish. You know, show them this coolness stuff, especially while it's good. We got the opportunity because fishing's good. Go. Well, make time.
I'll tell you what, it's been kind of been a little icing on the cake with all this doom and gloom and the
oh man,
we didn't deal with. All the negativity.
It's great.
One thing's for sure, fishing and hunting, as it's gearing up towards getting ready for hunting, has been on a straight upward trajectory. I mean, straight up, right? And fishing is cool again. A lot of people have taken it up. A lot of people are getting introduced to it. Benefits of shows like ours is we are teaching you how to, from the basics, to get going and just get out there and find ways to be successful, and we're trying to teach you how to do that. And we get a lot of questions from new folks throughout the week on our message board, and rightfully so. A lot of new folks joining us here each week. It's fantastic. And then we get a bump in numbers of fish. So not only we have a bunch more people out there, but now we got an opportunity of more fish in certain fisheries that folks get to take advantage of. So that's pretty sweet.
Hey, could you tell us about shrimping? What's our shrimping forecast look like?
Well, there's one that's closing up, right? So that's what you're alluding to. So area 12 closes actually tonight, midnight, right? We're going to close area 12. We had one more day that was scheduled. That would have been July 28th, but folks are just a little bit too good at shrimping.
They must have watched the how-to on how to make shrimp. That's
what it was. Right?
So, Tommy, your how-to on how to make bait, how to cut bait, how to properly rig your shrimp pot in a bait lab, and the how-to segment, that whole series we put together. Then went out there on Puget Sound and, you know, freaking hammered down and got our shrimp in short order and had a great day. Two separate videos you can watch here at Fish Hunt Northwest, either previously on our Facebook page, Video Vault, or our YouTube channel. That being said, the success rate, I found, you know, statistics are interesting when you compare seasons and or you look back and see how things performed previously. That Area 12 fishery last year, of all the shrimpers that were surveyed, creel sampling, whatnot, those that came in, 43% success rate on those obtaining a full limit.
Wow.
This year, in the 5 days that folks hit the water, those that have achieved or successful in getting their full limit, 68%.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
That is awesome.
And that is definitely after we launched his video on the how-to. So I guarantee, Big J,
that's what it was.
That's what's happening.
But really, I'm with you though, because you know you're talking about you have a lot of new viewers and new. So when you're new, you're hungry, right? And so all the stuff sinks in, and so you don't have any bad habits or your own mindset. And so when you do watch a video like the one that Tommy did, right, you're learning from the word go exactly what to do. You don't make those, you know, and so those people, they do pay attention.
Absolutely.
And you know they're really focused in on that. And I've noticed that the guys that have fished their whole lives, and I try to give a seminar or whatever, most of them are set in their ways anyway, and that's fine, right? But the guys that aren't, with their pad and pencil and asking the questions, they learn.
Absolutely.
And they pick that up, and they pick up good habits, because you've already weeded out all the bad habits. Right? How long did it take you to learn how to do that? And so cutting that learning curve is important. And
we're here to help.
Yeah, the education part.
Before we jump out here for a quick break, I want to remind everybody the Colt Country Rally is this Saturday, the 25th, up in Buckley. The reason I bring that up again is because last week we put it out there. If you're a manufacturer or a guide or somebody wants to donate something in the outdoors towards the auction that takes place Saturday, late afternoon, early evening before the country music event. get a hold of us here? Well, we had 3 guides that donated trips for 2. All right, value of $400 per trip. Each of them posting up a certificate for a trip for 2, and that is our buddy Matt Messing, Messing Around Fishing Charters, Tom Tucker, who we've had on the show a few times, Tommy 360 Fishing, and Kane Brand over on the east side, Heavy Hitters Guide Service. The 3 of you are to be commended, offering up trips that will be auctioned off to generate funds to go into the Culp campaign. So we can't thank you enough. Want to make sure everybody knows who's jumping on board to support that cause and get money into the campaign fund. All right, with that, going to jump out for a quick break. We come back. We are going to break down, discuss Puget Sound, Tommy. We kind of talked about it last week. We got out on the water today, Jarod, and experienced moderate successes. Just kind of talk about this week and how it's going, where folks are finding success, what you need to do perhaps to be successful on Puget Sound. We'll do all that when we come back right here on Fish on Northwest.
Marine is the one-stop shop for the Pacific Northwest angler. Whether you are looking for a small skiff to fish the Sound or rivers, or a huge offshore tuna machine, Defiance Marine has it. At Defiance Marine, be sure to power your boat with a Honda outboard package. Take advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty on your Honda outboards. Our service department is always here to help and serve you as the customer. Did you know Defiance Marine has boat financing experts to help get you the best term rates on your new boat purchase? If you need financing for that new boat, call us today. We guarantee the best price, best service on a repower for your current boat. Defiance Marine is a Honda Premier dealership and one of the largest on the West Coast. Defiance Marine also carries all the gear that you will need. Everything from auxiliary kicker motors to fishing tackle and bait. Defiance Marine has certified technicians that are top-notch at their job. Some of the best in the Pacific Northwest at evaluating your boat issues and problems. Stop in today or give us a call for all your needs at Defiance Marine.
Welcome back, Fish on Northwest, here in Studio Live, 6 p.m. We start every Thursday. Make sure you join us. Go to our Facebook page. If you haven't clicked the like or the follow button, you should. Lots of content each and every week. We post up a lot of info, Tommy.
There is.
And we constantly are trying to keep relevant on what's going on throughout the Pacific Northwest and beyond. And we like to post that information that other contributors in the industry also put out there, but a lot of you folks don't always see that. So we like to kind of bring it all together under our roof, and then it generates discussions, which we find to be pretty favorable in helping educate the masses. Also, you can go to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified every time we put out live content or fresh content or release videos and whatnot of things we're out and doing. You'll get notified on those releases and those premieres. So check out our YouTube channel if you haven't. It doesn't cost you anything, absolutely free. It's all free content for your viewing pleasure. With that, Puget Sound, Tommy. So
how'd it go?
Well, today, I guess you have to just manage your expectations. It's like we go out there figuring, okay, I felt pretty confident hitting the water today that we're going to find some Chinook somewhere. Now, you base that off of intel reports. You have your information tree. You got buddies out there fishing throughout the week. Our buddy Matt Messing, 2 days ago, 21-pounder, mid-teener, lost another 20 at the boat. Right out in front there, Kingston, President's Point, kind of along that drag there in the 130 depth of water. And it's like, great, they're finally moving a little south. They're coming down around the corner. They're extending past Point No Point. And so today it was, okay, do I run up to possession? Haven't heard a lot going on there yet. A couple guys have told me they're picking a few off here at Point No Point. We know last week Mid-Channel kicked out a number of fish. Our buddy JJ Dial went there the day after we grounded out in front of Kingston, and he went out to midpoint in
Hammered 3
damage, right?
Yeah.
So you get reports like that from competent fishermen that are getting it done in certain areas, and you're like, okay, this is going to start happening, right? But I am so convinced right now after today that the fishing from, say, Port Townsend around the corner and heading south down as we go towards Tacoma is very spotty.
Yeah.
Very little pockets of fish here and there. It's not like it's going off gangbusters like, oh my God, you should have been on possession today. There's probably 50 fish caught. It's not like that.
Would you say that the further south you go, the more it kind of peters out, and those fish are still either in the Strait of Juan de Fuca or just coming around the hook into kind of Port Townsend, Mid-Channel Bank?
There's a couple things we know. As we've discussed, there's a pile of bait out there in the straits.
Yeah.
Right?
There is.
And talk to a handful of folks, and I'm kind of drinking the Kool-Aid that they're just kind of staged up there feeding, man, you know, and they don't really have a reason to push on down past any further. They're grocery shopping. There's plenty of groceries.
And we've had a day here and a day there with a little bit of rain.
Yeah.
But we haven't had like a good day of rain to where those fish are getting that smell and saying, hey, I need to go into the sound. I need to book it, right?
But the other side of that is that Area 9 and 10 opened up on the 16th. Area 11 opened up July 1st. And within that first week, there were some dandy fish caught out around Point Defiance in the mid-20s, right?
Yeah.
And high teens by a handful of folks.
Right.
Then it kind of petered off. Then it had a few days there where they seemed to be picking up a few more fish.
Yeah.
And then it kind of tapered off again. So that on and off kind of activity, success rate, not only in Area 11, but kind of seems to be happening 10 and 9 currently. Except if you get a little further, north, heading back towards Port Townsend, that mid-channel area, strongest reports I've heard.
Well, and you got those Nisqually River fish, right, that are pushing through Area 11 earlier than the rest of the runs, and those are some really nice fish, right?
Size, quality-wise, right?
And that's where those guys get the Point Wilson darts out, and they're jigging, by the narrows. And
speaking of that, a lot of folks don't realize Nisqually specifically, on an annual release, on a low year, they might be 3.5 million, typically 4 to 4.5 million Chinook smolt from the Nisqually River.
Wow.
Callister Creek area. So that puts an abundance of fish from the deep south.
Yeah.
Right? Plus you got your Deschutes fish.
Yep.
And they get down there around the Green Can out in front of Nisqually, and they're trying to figure out where to go. They go up around the corner off of Johnson Point, head towards Deschutes, or they gonna hover around in there and stay off of Tommy State Park and turn back around, head back up towards the Nisqually. But that's kind of like a big milling area. I mean, I have jigged Chinook up in 35 foot of water right out in front of Tommy.
Right.
35 feet of water, right?
Yeah.
With the jig, you're basically just hovering along, letting the slow current kind of move you. Oh, there's a pile of fish, drop down, and guess what?
Yep.
So I think it's just opportunistic right now. You're dragging through. I mean, we hit a couple sub-legals today, had a double, Jarod.
Double, yeah.
Right? We're not marking anything. I'll tell you what else was interesting. Of course, you pay attention to your weather. You know which direction your tide's going. You know when your highs and lows are, when your slack tide is, what your wind is going to do. Wind was projected to be 3 to 4, which is nothing up there. We got out there, I pulled up my wind app, because we were getting kicked around pretty good for the first third of this morning. I mean, it was like, man, this is kind of getting to be a pain in the butt. We're 8 to 13 on our wind, constantly. And that makes a difference, especially up there. Okay, you get up around 15 sustained, it gets a little sloppy out there. So we had outgoing tide at 6:30 was
6:30 was high slack.
6:30. So then we were fishing the outflow, and then we had that wind kind of coming out of the south-southwest, pushing across. So we had to basically troll with the wind and the current, right? And kind of cut across it at a 45, and tried to stay in that one. Well, I wanted to kind of target that 130 to 170. Wasn't really finding anything. Talking to a few buddies out there fishing. Hey, a lot of bait out here at 250, and wasn't really a lot of boat pressure today. Handful of boats out there, but not like it was last week. We bounced out to that 250 in the grass. There was literally a soccer field floating. Dude,
there was just mounds.
It was ridiculous. Like somebody is dropping helicopter loads of lawn clippings out here. It was
not good.
Unbelievable, right? So
it was not good.
We went through a pile of that, and you know what happens when all that grass and crap gets on your ball bearing swivels and everything else.
Yeah,
right?
was it mostly eelgrass?
Yeah, and a lot of that light
salad.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, basically salad bar, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So we finally said, when we're spending more time out of the water than in, we're trying to cut through the current with this wind and the waves pushing and all that, and we keep getting shoved into these islands of grass, heck with it. We went back into 130, 150, seemed to be tucked away from all that surface debris, got a good troll going, we're pulling good lines, we're down in the zones we want to be, picked up a coho, and then we got that double on those sublegals, one on a green spatterback hoochie, one on a coho killer herring bait, right? Just simultaneously, and not marking any bait. There was more bait at 250. There's clouds of bait out there, right?
Is it on the bottom?
Some of it,
yeah,
it's suspended. It kind of just moves around.
More of it was just clouds, around the bottom,
Yeah. So Matt says, there's a lot of bait out here. We're not marking a lot of fish.
Yeah.
And it just got to be kind of a pain in the butt to be out there, to be honest. So we made a decision to run in, dropped in. We had some nice, good, lengthy trolls running gear. Everything's doing good. And lo and behold, we're catching sublegals and some shakers and whatnot. But more activity than we're experiencing out there fighting all that stuff. So I guess it's location is key, and just trying to find fish. We're just hunting and pecking, right?
Right.
Hunting and pecking. And I think, along with you, that we're still waiting for those fish to come in. Comparatively, last year, again, remind everybody, the areas we're fishing right now up there did not open until the 25th. We didn't have that July 16th opener. We had July 25th. We hit it on the 28th.
And it was on.
Clouds of bait.
Yeah.
I was dredging that 130 to 170 line out from Kingston past President's Point up to Jeff Head. It was just it's like a 45-degree line. You just got to kind of stay on that shelf. And we would drag that whole thing. We were 10 for 10 first day out.
Yeah.
And then the consecutive days after that, we're putting 5-6 fish in the boat and upgrading, right? Catch a 6-8 pounder, toss it back, try to get something better.
Right. There is one. I was kind of reading through social media early this morning, and one of the guys that was posting on one of the Facebook groups was talking about, hey, I'm like always in the dogfish. I'm running gear, but I'm always in the dogfish, or I'm always in the rockfish. And I think, one tip for people is you really got to watch your troll speed. In order to know your troll speed, most boats aren't automatically outfitted with a little paddle wheel so that they can get their true speed over water.
Right.
They're just reading speed over ground. You really got to have a feel for, which direction is the current going and how fast is it going. And then really, you've got to overcome that speed. And if you're in the dogfish, you're in the rockfish, you got to pick your speed up. And don't be afraid if your downrigger cable is scoped out, at a 45 or more, 45 angle or more. I think that trips a lot of people out. And also my old standby is if your normal haunts aren't working, whether it's possession or Jeff Head or Kingston or mid-channel, is to slide out into that deep water and just, put the downrigger balls on the bottom, and start trolling through those clouds of bait. That's the old standby. And especially when you troll deep, that's when you're going to have this kind of mental trip that your downrigger cables are too far blown out. But it doesn't matter. What you see on the surface actually is not the angle of that downrigger line.
No, it completely changes.
Once you get down below the water, it actually drops off. And so,
it's big.
And whenever you're in doubt, just run it all the way to the bottom, and pick it up. We load our downriggers with 900 feet. Okay, we don't go with 300, 400. We fish a lot of places off Nia Bay and La Push, the Shark Fin, Compass Rose, where we're fishing the bottom in 430 feet of water, and you're using 520 feet of cable, or 550 feet of cable.
You do that by bottom checking and pulling up a little bit, right?
Right.
And then adjust your speed accordingly. And we got one dog shark today, one dogfish on a spoon. I think most of the time our troll speed was pretty ample. We, I did a periodic check, put it in neutral, and just let the wind push me, let the current push me. What's my actual speed? Oh, we're moving at 113. That tells me
it's a lot to overcome.
That direction, man. We got to be, we got to be hauling.
That's a lot to overcome. Right?
So 3.5. Get a lot of scope on that, but I'm running 15-pound balls and we drop them down once in a while, scraping bottom. But like I said, I felt like the gear was where it should be. Just trying to find those fish and hoping that they push down from the south and we start seeing a little more activity in 9-10. I think we will. It's just a matter of time. They got to show up. So anyway, that's kind of the update from what we experienced today. Hopefully you guys are getting on the water and folks are finding some success, although for most guys, we are working for them for whatever we can get. So, all right, with that, we are going to jump out for a quick break. We come back. Jarod Higginbotham, you are on point. We're going to talk about some of the success and approach that you've had on your Upper Columbia River fisheries.
Very good.
We've been talking about the sockeye fishery and the Chinook fishery. Mm-hmm. You have had hands-on running your boat up there, inviting folks into your boat, some characters that we're all very familiar with, friends, and finding great success. So we're going to talk about exactly what your approach has been and how you've been so darn successful.
Perfect. That sounds fun.
It's just smashing good looks.
I mean... Don't go anywhere. Quick, short 1 minute break. When we come back here at Higginbotham, we're going to unravel the key.
Be careful.
Columbia fisheries right here on Fish on Northwest.
It's easier than ever to browse homes and connect with an agent on the go with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate's mobile app. With the app, your home search is synced across all of your devices, so you can pick up your home search anytime, anywhere. Take full advantage of an enriched, mobile-optimized map search experience. Use location services to quickly find homes near you that match your search criteria. Draw your own map boundaries to find homes in a specific area, and apply layers to view school districts, neighborhoods, zip codes, and more. The app's user-friendly design makes it easier than ever to find a home you'll love. Narrow down your search results, save your search criteria, and save your favorite homes. You can browse your saved homes in a list view that puts photos and key details like price and square footage right at your fingertips. Or check out your saved homes displayed on the map.
Hey, welcome back in the studio. Tommy Donlan, Dwayne England, and of course our good buddy and longtime friend, co-host, special guest extraordinaire, Jarod Higginbotham, Yakima Bait Company. If you don't know who Big Jarod is, then you are missing out. I mean, we go way back. Radio days.
Yeah, that was so fun too.
Sportsman shows.
Fishing Drano.
Drano.
All that fun stuff, man. Yeah, I love that.
Timers, longtime friends.
Yeah.
And so many mutual friends in the industry.
Oh, for sure. So many great people we deal with, man. It's just a blessing. Yeah.
Well, and you were a guest on the show when we were in Puyallup at the Sports.
That's right. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
My purple suede shoes. Come on. Come on.
So, you, mister, have been not only partaking in the Upper Columbia River fisheries, albeit the sockeye and Chinooks, but finding some fantastic success. How many? You actually told me some numbers today. I was probably fighting wind and waves and salad and whatever else. So it kind of bounced off my head. But give me some numbers of fish that you've put in the boat as you started your pursuit of sockeye and Chinook up there.
We boated over 150 salmon between sockeye and Chinook, and that's releasing wild Chinook and culling out some sockeyes too to get some bigger ones and stuff like that. And it's just it's been a really fun fishery, man. And really, I got my new boat, and so I've been in fish mode for like 4 months. I've been fishing every weekend for 4 months. Like, I haven't missed one. So when you get in a rhythm, right, and you get going and you figure stuff out, and it's just really like everything's clicking, right? And everywhere you go, you're confident, you're built up, you got everything dialed in, leader lengths and bait cures and all this stuff, right? And you're just rocking it. And it's just great because you get in the water and you already know you're going to catch fish.
Where did you start? What section of river did you actually start when you started, going after that?
I started at Wanapum. At Wanapum is, for me, in Eastern Washington, right, like for me to get good salmon fishing, it's 2 hours pretty much as a general drive. So Wanapum's an hour and 15 minutes from my house, which is great. You know what I mean? And we can go there, launch, and I'm fishing in 15 minutes after I launch. It's great. And it's a really good fishery. It's kind of a different fishery, than what, we used to down here. I mean, a lot of those fisheries are right below dams up there, like, Wanapum and Wells and Rocky Reach and Rock Island and all these, are right below dams. And so you got weird currents and everything else going. They raise and drop the water levels, and so it's a constant, trickery trying to play your mind, and figure stuff out because it goes off the bite, on the bite, off the bite as the water raises and lowers. And
raise and lower every day.
It raises and lowers every 30, 40 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. It's just, it's kind of different. And then it slowly mellows out as you get into about a week ago, all those started to mellow out, right? But the fishing has just been phenomenal. And for me, we've had our new lure, the Spinfish, out for a while, and I haven't really had a chance to get out and fish it in my own boat, with my own time, all 7 rods, test different leader lengths, test different speeds, different baits, and so on and so forth, which is part of my job, which is fun, and I'm lucky to get to do that.
Sounds horrible.
So
right?
I said, I said, bag it. I said, this is all I'm fishing. I said, I'm gonna make sure that I got this dialed in.
7 rods, all 7 fishing.
All 7 fish and spin fish. I did fish spinners, like the first couple of weekend, just wired spinners, and I caught some fish. And I'm just in my mind, right? Like it's not like I'm not satisfied with just I don't really care how many fish I catch, right? It's all about who I'm with, hanging out, having fun. I really don't care how many fish I catch, but I was just, I was frustrated, and I thought, I'm going to figure this out. And so my boy and some friends and I, we went out and we put on all spin fish, 7 rods. And on that day we hammered them, right? Like we went 7 for 12 for kings in 5 hours. And I think we released 2 wilds and lost a few at the boat. And we took them a couple 22, 24 pound summer runs, just brutes, bright chrome. I'm like, all right, I'm on to something. So of course I have to take off Wednesday from work to make sure and confirm what I thought I learned. So.
What I thought I learned.
So I take my boy and one of my best buddies, he's an ogre like me, and his family out so I can fish all 7 rods, right? And I can kind of really get a good idea. And so I put all 7 spin fish on. And that day we had 40 salmon in the boat between sockeye and Chinook, and we killed, I think we released 5 or 6 wild, big Chinook. Lost I don't know how many sockeye, and we ended up taking home, 6 adults and 14 sockeye, right? Which is great, and they're all on spin fish, right? Which is the weird part.
Yeah,
now the weirdest part is
the sockeye.
Sockeye like 3 things, right? Usually pink, pink, and pink.
Right.
For the most part.
Right.
And we caught majority of our sockeyes on double trouble, chartreuse spin fish, right?
Yep.
Or the one that I named monkey pickle. That's what my uncle used to call bananas, so I named it monkey pickles because it's just funny. Yeah, it's yellow with the green dots on it, and a pink butt.
Oh yeah.
And we hammered sockeyes on them, and then of course I was lucky enough that we have a couple prototypes of the 2.5 spin fish, and so I get to test those as right. Well, I'm out there. We have 4, so I have 4. 4. That's it. And I have 1, and Buzz has 1, right? So they're just really for us to look at, test, kind of play with. And I'm like, I'm gonna fish it. And we crushed a couple big Chinook and a bunch of sockeyes on that too. And so when those come out, those are going to be great. And so I really got on this spin fish kick, and then I wanted them for a while, and then of course Cody Herman called me, my good buddy. He wants to film a show, so we go up to Wells Dam to film with our friend Adam Hawking, and we smashed some fish on spin fish, right? And this continues, and then we go up to Brewster last weekend, and we hammered some fish on spin fish. And so it's just been a constant deal for me. Not like I'm just really figuring it out, and you gain confidence, right? And you figure things out, leader lengths and so on and so forth, and it's just been a lot of fun.
So awesome. The takeaway from that, in all those different bodies of water, 9 different dams and different reservoirs you fished thus far, any commonality on like this is the highest, hottest producer, or is it just like doesn't matter across the board? Color-wise, size-wise, there's different sizes on your spin.
So the 3.0 spin fish has been by far my number 1 go-to, right? The 3.0.
Sockeye?
For sockeye. That's the weirdest part, right?
Going after the bigger one than even the Chinook are hitting.
And then, so here's the funny thing is, in my boat, it's huge, right? And so I can't really creep in that thing, and I don't want to in some of those fisheries, especially fishing 7 rods. The faster you can go, the cleaner you can run, right? Everything stays, its own distance. And I run all 16-ounce sleds the whole way through, and I'm running them 38 feet back, and I'm only in like sometimes 25 feet of water, but I'm doing like 2.7 to 3.5. I mean, I am booking. The flasher's going like this. It's not, it's pumping, right? And when they hit it, they fold it. And that's what I figured out though, was I was trolling them faster. And of course, you come in contact with more fish, right? The faster you troll.
Sure.
But it was just a combination of the leads, the leader length. I mean, literally the first day I put everything out, I hit the nail on the head. It was just one of those lucky things, right? Like everything was perfect. And I'm running a Pro Troll flasher. I'm running one of our free sliding spreaders, 24 inches a leader for a bumper, a 50-pound test, just simple. A Pro Troll flasher, and then 36-inch leader of 30-pound test behind that to my 3.0 spin fish. And I run 2 3-aught hooks on the back of it because when I'm trolling that fast, the hooks aren't going to weight it down, right? Yeah. And we have them. Right now they come with 2-aught hooks, and that's for your standard trolls, like 1.7 to 2.5, which most people do troll those. Well, trolling faster, I could get away with a bigger hook because it's not going to affect the action and make it heavier in the back, right? And so of course I have my size hook. Who wouldn't? My mixture has been tuna, a ton of krill powder. So garlic has been like everything. I put garlic in the sockeye, and they love it, right? So
really? I'm
telling you, garlic and rock salt. That's all I've been putting in it. It's been the simplest thing ever.
So the How much weight are you hanging off your slider?
16 ounces.
And are you rigging that to slide or is it fixed?
I rig it free sliding. So I rigged it 2 different ways, and I didn't like it fixed. And the reason I didn't like it fixed, it just didn't seem that it fished right for me with the Pro Troll. I'll fish it fixed with a fish flash and stuff, and it's fine. And I've noticed when I'm fishing those, I can fish like 7 rods, and when I turn, they rudder, like your big rudders you had today, right?
Yeah.
They actually keep my gear spread apart. But also, if I put one in the water with just a lead and like a slider, and then I put one with a free sliding spreader, the one with the lead and the slider, what's it do? Well, it's doing this, right? As that Pro Troll is working. The free sliding spreader stays there.
And so it actually pivots up.
Yeah, and so it actually, I don't know if it's working better because it's got a positive point to pivot off of, right? But I'm not going to change what I'm doing because it works. And you know,
you're on a Pro Troll on every rod.
For at this point in time, I am, because for whatever reason, those fish in that Upper Columbia, which is, Pro Trolling and super bait thing and all that type of fishery, got popular up in my neck of the woods, right? It started there and it worked its way downriver. Shane Magnuson, a lot of those guys, Sam Bairds and those types of guys, they've been doing that up there, Austin Mosier, for years, right? And it kind of worked its way, and I get it. Those fish react very well to that. I did fish them off a fish flash. I did get a couple of fish, but the strikes just weren't as dominant. I think it's that little bit of action and that spin fishing, doing this thing, and with that.
Yeah.
And that Pro Troll, I really like that flasher for that type of fishing because it does have a better pause and drop. And I think that pause and that drop is what causes that.
It's like an oblong.
That pulse. Yeah. It's off, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what's been my success up there. Now, when I go run them at Buoy 10, I'll run. I don't really like to run the Pro Trolls over there just because I like running fish flash. It's easy. I can just go.
Yeah.
And I do just as well. I'm sure I'll do just as well to spin fish out there. I caught a few fish on the year before, and I know Buzz has too. I didn't get to fish them a lot last year. I didn't have my own boat, and like I said, I was kind of weekend warrior. I only had a couple of days. Sure. But this year I'm definitely going to put in more time with them there, and they're more effective. And I know guys in the Salt, Kaiser's been killing them out there. I know Cody did well out there. Brandon Glass has been catching them out there on spin fish. A lot of my buddies have. So
here's the interesting thing as it relates to the sockeye. Historically, right? So you get up there in Brewster and some of these larger pools where current may be a little more stable than some of the more turbulent water that's on some of those lower stretches. Predominantly, if you talk to folks who've been fishing sockeye for years, large flashy dodger, which is going to instantly going to drop control speed because if you go too fast with a dodger, it's going to rotate, which is then you're not fishing. So that already negates your ability to do over 2.5 miles.
By far, right.
So, and then we're trolling something. Small blades work really well, beaded lures, and shrimp, and more times than not, you are doing everything you can to keep it at 1 mile per hour downwards of 0.08. All you've ever heard is slow for sockeye as pro, right? You gotta have a slow presentation. You gotta get it in front of them, nice and slow. You go too fast, you do 1.5. Even if your dodger's working, you're at 1.5. You're not gonna get them. Here you are. All rules are out the window, and rewriting the textbook, and here you go at over 2.5 miles an hour, and you're just
booking. And one of them is a big circle. It's like Drano, right? It's just bigger, right? And there's just kind of there's a few paths you kind of take. But I really caught fish throughout the whole thing. But some of my buddies and a lot of my buddies were catching fish too. It wasn't just me. They were catching fish on different things as well. But I was doing pretty well every time I was there. And a lot of my buddies were like, man, what are you doing? You've lapped me like 3 times. What are you doing different? I'm thinking, I lapped you 3 times. Like, speed up! Speed up! Bigger lead! Go faster!
What are you doing? You've lapped me 3 times.
Yeah. And really, and like I said, I think it was just one of those things to where sometimes you do just hit the nail on the head, right? Like when I tied all the leaders and I did everything, they were all the right length. I had the right leads on. I had the right bait. Everything just kind of comboed. I was just lucky, right, when I started that. Because a lot of times you don't get that, right? How much time do you put in on some of these things before? We were talking about the bobber dogging thing earlier today, right?
Yeah.
It takes you a couple days, right? Or just certain things you're trying to, like, this has to work, and it takes you to fine tune it. And so
or like when we went over to drove all the way to Wyoming, big kokanee, right? Took Jordan and I, by day 3 we felt like we were had a different approach, had different patterns of lures that we did the night before, gonna run the side planers, had a whole different approach because what we were doing was working, but it was working with moderate success.
Sure.
And I wasn't happy with that level of success. I'm like, we're here to put in the time. I want to be successful. What's it going to take? Complete, utter change. So you could have had that day 1. You could have went with that length of leader. You could have went with Pro Trollers. You could have went with that speed, and you could have got a big fat donut, right?
Well,
but for whatever reason, it all came together. And all my takeaway here is, color doesn't really matter. something flashy and moving and smells
The
good.
right action.
Yeah, and it was action,
In front of them, and they are fired up. Of course, there's how many thousands of fish under the boat?
There's how many thousands, but there's also a lot of people that got blanked, right? And so, and that made me think, because I fished them a little bit during springer season when I first got my boat, right?
Yeah.
And I fished the spin fish. Now, springer season is what? It's a slow troll most of the time, right? And that's, but is it? Right? Like, is it always, does it have to be a slow troll? Is that what we're, but that's been ingrained with us. Just like sockeye has been, it's a slower troll for the most part.
Right.
And so for me, next year when I go fishing springers, I'm going to try lapping people and see if it works.
Yeah.
The water is much colder, different, but why not? What does it hurt, right?
Different.
I mean, maybe it is, like you say, people ask me all the time, if you have a choice between color and action, what do you choose? It's like, dude, you can give me a plug with no paint. If it runs, it will fish.
Right.
The most beautiful, best color, whatever, if it doesn't run, it's not going to fish.
Yep.
Period. And so color for me is, action is.
For those that have been paying attention, I mean, you just uncorked some information out of that genie bottle that most probably wouldn't even connect the dots on when it comes to being successful on sockeye.
Me neither, though, right?
I told people, you're going to be on this ride for another hour and a half or whatever, so get in line. We still got tickets for sale.
That's
right. I think Jarod Higginbotham.
The line's getting long. Bring your energy drinks.
Sure is. Really good stuff, man. I'm glad you threw all that out there, because I had no idea.
That's a lot of good information.
I had no idea that was coming. That was fantastic.
Good.
All right, we are going to jump out for a quick break. We come back. Guess what, Tommy?
It's tuna time.
It's time.
Show me Charlie.
We are going to get our good buddy Mark Coleman, All Rivers and Saltwater Charters, on the phone. We're going to talk about tuna location, where they're at, what it takes to go get them out there, running out of Westport. Tuna Talk with Tommy Tuna himself, right here on Fish Up Northwest. We come back right after this break.
A Northwest favorite for almost 40 years, Arima boats are manufactured with pride right here in Bremerton, Washington. Arima Boats offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. With literally thousands of Arima boats on the water throughout the Pacific Northwest, Arima boats are a proven hull design that offers incredible fuel economy and all of the amenities that a serious angler is looking for. All Arima boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Arima boats are designed to maximize deck space while also providing ample seating. Contact us today at Arima Boats for all your boating needs and let us help you get out on the water.
You bet. How you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. We got a lively bunch of.
Here we are.
Oh, hey, we are back.
We are back.
We're back.
So we have switched it up. We got like 1 minute, 15-second commercial breaks. And while we're trying to dial you up and Josh is keeping me on mute, I missed the intro. So officially, introducing.
That's what live means.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Mark Coleman, All Rivers and Saltwater Charters. Captain, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great. How you guys doing in there? Sounds like you're having a little party.
We got Big J in the house. It's
always a party, yeah.
So, hey, let's talk some tuna, man. Tommy has been smiling for a week since we figured we were going to start talking tuna this week, and for several weeks moving forward. And no better person to start off with than yourself. So you and your guys have been taking the boats out and finding some success. Let's just start with how far out you going? Where are those critters at right now?
All the way.
All the way.
I like him.
All the way.
As far as we need to.
Yes.
Exactly.
So,
well, Tommy, you should be super excited. Things are really coming along out there. And today we got a little more help with in the way of a few more boats fishing, and there's fish as close as 40 miles right now.
Awesome.
So things are really looking good.
Yeah, I kind of saw that on the SST and the chlorophyll charts. It looked good. Yeah, right off Willapa and Guide Canyon. So
yep, exactly.
Every we had some what I would call some darker years in the mix a few years ago, and where fishing was what we would on tuna terms it was spotty, right? Meaning that you may only come home with 5 fish or whatnot. What you guys are seeing so far out there this year, how does it look? If you had to make a projection based on what you're seeing, how do you feel about it? What's your gut feel?
So what I see in the difference between this season and a lot of the seasons compared to those 2 or 2.5 seasons a few years back that kind of fizzled out in August when they should have been really ramping up was on those years we had early fish, like mid-June fish, late June fish, and it was on like Donkey Kong right out of the gate. I mean, first trip, as many as you wanted. We even had jumpers a couple of those trips early on, and it was strong for 2 months. And it just kind of ran out of gas come August. The water was a lot warmer earlier, and it just kind of ramped up almost too fast. And overnight, both of those seasons, at some point in early August, we had no fish. We had 5 fish, a dozen fish a day. And it kind of came back around later on in September and towards the fall. Well, this year we're seeing a real nice gradual push of the water and steady, improving fishing day after day with, 30 to 40 fish a day all day, with 5 here, 10 here, 2 here, like that. So I think this sort of easing into it is a good indicator that we're going to have we're going to have a long season. It's not going to just ramp up and pop and fizzle out. Yeah. So
awesome. That's what I was hoping to hear from you tonight. I think the key in those years where it was hot early on and then it kind of fizzled out early, when you looked at that warm water migration, I mean, that warm water was way up past the north end of Vancouver Island. We had commercial boats that were offloading in Dutch Harbor, Alaska. That's how far north those tuna were. Wow. And so what we like to have happen is when that warm water comes up from the south, we want it to stop right off of Nia Bay.
Sure.
Stop. Don't go any further north.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop right there, and that way all those fish get bottled up.
Keep them down here.
Right off our, right out in our backyard. So, hey, that's awesome. So what do you see in terms of water temps so far, Mark? And are you seeing some hard breaks out there?
There's a number of breaks. Every machine's a little different. Our machines are reading as we're kind of coming off what we call the beach, which is just before it really gets deep there, 600, 700 and on. It's about 60 and a half and kind of a cleanish green. And you get about to the 124.55 line, and it jumps up about a half a degree. The water stays clean green, and it doesn't look really good. Just beyond the 125 line, it jumps up even more, and the water goes blue. So it's really good looking. There's fish on both sides of that break. Up until today, quite frankly, I had pretty much been the only guy that had gone, and I had been going daily. So had a little spot just outside the 125 line after that better break and was doing good there. Today we had a few guys come out and help out, and we kind of spread out. Some guys started a little bit closer in and found actually better fishing than what I had been doing. A little bit closer in. So, even though you see on those charts, you see some of those tighter breaks, those bigger jumps in the cleaner water, it always comes down to where the fish are, and until you put gear in the water and you build that network and get that information flowing, which has been really tough until literally today, you just got a short window of time to fish every day, and now we're getting that coverage. And just because it's not, pretty blue or the hottest of hot doesn't always mean that's not, where the fish are going to be.
Yeah, that's a really good sign too, actually. I mean, usually those fish that are in that green water, even if it's a clean green, those fish are a lot pickier when it comes to the bite. So the fact that you're getting them to go in that, closer to port in that green water, that's a really good sign.
Yeah, you bet. And you'll typically see that bite be better in the morning inside there, and it tends to fizzle through towards the end of the day. So, make use of it while they're up and biting. I think they're a little nervous in there, and they don't play as long and as hard as the guys out in the blue water. But they're typically bigger fish. They got a bigger appetite. Bigger fish, bigger appetite. So.
Hey, we do need to ask you. Obviously, you splashed that boat down in the water several weeks ago. Commendable effort on that too, Tommy. I mean, they got that thing in
42
splashed in before season, right? I mean, there was a lot of long days and work.
Yeah, Mark, Mary, Mitch, Ian. So, the whole crew at Defiance.
Yeah, we're talking about the custom integrity, your 42-foot boat that you've been running out there. how's that thing performing? And Tommy made a little side note on here. What is the favorite thing? What is your favorite thing about that boat that you're currently running?
Yeah, no, it turned out amazing. I'm just in awe every single day. I think it's got to be the Seakeeper.
Yeah,
the gyro is just unreal. I mean, I thought I wouldn't run it on calm days, and so I was trying to kind of conserve it and run it during the rougher days. And boy, the first calm day we went out, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to run it today, and we get out there, and I'm seeing people are kind of stumbling, and man, I flipped it on, and even on calm days, it makes a difference. And so we're running it from dock to dock. In fact, it's kind of like fishing off the dock. When you
that's awesome. That's awesome. Fuck fishing off the dock.
Off the dock.
I love it.
For our listeners that don't know, a Seakeeper is a giant gyro that sits in the bottom of the boat and stabilizes the boat regardless of sea condition.
Wow.
And what's amazing is if you haven't seen it, you watch videos where they do test trials of a boat that has it and the same exact make of boat next to it that doesn't. And just from an exterior observation, you're like, oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
Guys will be shaking the boat at the dock, right? Just getting it rolling.
Yeah.
And then they'll turn on the Seakeeper and they're pushing on the boat and nothing's happening. Nothing's happening.
I like that.
You can't get that sucker to roll.
That's good for me because last time I went tuna fishing it was a little rough, and I'm what they call top heavy. So when you're in waves like that, it's a little harder from 7 feet to stay balanced. So I like that idea.
Yeah. So I got to imagine fishing off of that big 42-foot is just unbelievable. So much room and handling and just all the things you have on there, electronics package. I mean, second to none.
So I got to ask Mark, did the tuna care about the gyro, about the Seakeeper?
Right.
Do they care? Do they even notice it?
Yeah.
Well, they feel real bad for us, for having it. So, yeah.
Right. So they sacrifice.
One thing, one thing that this plays into is not only your balance better, but man, your sonar works better. It's not.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a good bonus.
Tell everybody about your sonar. Go ahead and brag about it. Let's hear it.
Which one?
The 2K dub. Let's hear about the 2K dub.
Okay. We'll skip right over the 1K and go right to the 2.
Yeah.
The 2K is amazing. Pretty high power, 2-channel. It's a low, what they call a low, wide, medium chirp. So the low wide is a 40-degree beam width in the low frequency, which is industry at the top of it's the widest you can get.
That's beautiful.
And then the medium is actually a kind of a semi-narrow beam of I think around 13 degrees. And when you use the two together, that's where you can really tie it all together. You've got your wide beam looking out around you, and then that medium beam, if you're showing marks or structure or whatever on both screens, the low, the wide and the narrow, then you're right on your target. So pulling into a spot, and you got some marks on your wide beam, that's great, but nothing on your medium. At least to stick around and kind of look it over, versus if you just had the narrow beam, you might roll in there and see nothing and take off. But I'm seeing stuff on my wide. I'm going, okay, I'm going to hang out. I'm going to go over this. Something's around, and then when I start seeing them on both frequencies, I know I've got it.
That's awesome. 40 degrees is huge. You're seeing so much more of the field.
Yeah.
Most cones are 22, 25.
Which is narrow.
And you're talking about
bouncing it out twice as wide. Right?
And having 2K dub of power.
Crazy.
Hey, could you do me a favor and send me any screenshots of swordfish that you catch on that sonar?
Yeah, you bet. I've got about 30 already.
Oh,
there we go. They're out there, baby. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, hey, on your phone.
Mark, always a pleasure to get you to take time to join us on the show. I know you're extremely busy running your entire operation. And I know you got some room available and trips coming up on a number of boats that you have. What's the easiest way to folks track you down and make sure they get signed up to get out there with the Coleman clan?
I think the best way would just go to our website at allwashingtonfishing.com.
Right.
And or Facebook under our business name, All Rivers and Saltwater Charters.
Yeah, perfect.
The lovely and wonderful Mary will be back in touch with you right away.
And she is absolutely all of that. Yeah, you betcha. Yeah. All right, buddy, don't be a stranger. And we cannot wait to get out there on the tuna grounds with you and, perhaps sit in the boat next to you and just kind of enjoy the day, right, Tom?
Yeah.
So,
We're going to raft up to him.
absolutely.
You know, so
maybe the gyro will
take the
drift
roll
over
out.
that
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah, we're going to see how good this gyro is.
Yeah.
We put a boat on each side and kind of make him the meat in the gyro sandwich. I did nothing but success. All right, Mark. Take care, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, guys. All right.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Lines.
Yeah, that guy is fantastic. One of my favorites.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Amazing job out there. All right, we'll jump out for a quick break. Going to switch gears. Mr. J Man, you ready?
I'm always ready.
We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be in the bait lab. We're going to do a nice tutorial how to break down nuts and bolts, A to Z, the whole thing, with Big J on things that you need to know, some of the components that will definitely aid you in finding success in your buoy 10 fishery. If you've done it before and have struggled, or if it's going to be your first season down there, the opener is August 14th. We have a narrow window of opportunity. We don't know, maybe we'll get a bump based on numbers of fish that show up. You just never know. But that being said, going into it, we open up on the 14th and we got a narrow couple weeks. You have to maximize your opportunity on the water. You have to maximize your skill set. Big J is going to help you get squared away with a whole bunch of components from YBC. We'll do that right here when we come back on Fish on the Northwest.
What if there was a smarter way to search for your new home? Introducing the Better Homes and Gardens real estate website and mobile app. This revolutionary new search tool puts your needs first. Narrow your search to what matters most to your family, like school data, school districts, and even walk scores. Get easy access to your local affiliated agent, as well as unique and local insights about neighborhoods and properties directly within the app. With synced and saved preferences, you'll always pick up wherever you left off. Get your smarter search started today with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate.
Welcome back, Fish on Northwest. Waiting on my little buddy, the world's largest 11-year-old, Jarod Higginbotham, Yakima Bait Company. You guys have been with us all evening. You know who this face belongs to. Fantastic wealth of knowledge coming out of YBC, and a whole bunch of goodies that you have spread out on our table here tonight, my friend. Walk us through the progression. How do we get set up to find success down at Buoy 10? I got a lot of stuff I can choose from here. How do I know what's going to get it done for me?
Well, you know, it's one of those things that a lot of times I'm the weekend warrior like everybody else, so I don't know what's going to get it done right. But I prep for that exact response. And so for me, I'm about spinners. I like spinners. I like herring. I like anchovies. I'm going to run the spin fish this year, and I like them at different times for different reasons.
Last year?
I did a little bit, but I only made it down there for 2 days, and I didn't get to run them a lot. Okay. So I didn't have a lot of experience with them, so I didn't get to run them as much as I would have liked to. This year, obviously, I'm going to run a lot more rods with a lot more spin fish because I've had so much success. Right? That confidence is built up. I'm ready to go on those. And basically just breaking it down from like I say, a weekend warrior standpoint, because I don't get to go every week like a guide, or I don't get a week off to go down there and spend my time every year. And
so I got a weekend. I'm going to bomb down there. I'm going to fish. Maybe I leave from home Saturday morning. I get that afternoon tide. I get a Saturday afternoon. I get a Sunday morning into late afternoon. That's my opportunity on the water. I want to maximize my opportunity. So when we're running fish flash, lead on some type of sliding device or fixed, if guys think they want to run fixed, which is always a bad idea for net purposes, run the whole deal, right? So not finding success on a consistent basis, and you constantly are battling gear balling up. Our dropper gets wrapped up into our rotator, our herring or our anchovy spins up our leader, gets it balled up into our rotator. Those are things that happen time and time again.
Oh, all the time.
You get grasses and weeds and stuff into your swivels. It just happens. So there are things we can do that's going to minimize that, which is going to afford us more opportunity of running gear successfully in the water. Some of the components from YBC that have come a long way the last few years. Let's kind of break that down and talk about how to rig this up.
So, what I like to do is, from rod, reel, line, it's pretty simple. A line counter reel is kind of a go-to for me, and it doesn't really matter which one it is, right? If you have a line counter reel, it will work.
Right.
Anything from that 9.5 to 10.5 foot rods is what I run a lot of, just to keep my spread out. 10 to 20, 15 to 30, 15 to 40 pound line ratings, it'll work just fine. I run a 65 pound braided main line on mine, and you can see when I come down from my braided main line, I have this thing. This is our free sliding spreader. Very, very simple tool to use. It says on it, lure this way, rod this way. You really can't mess that up.
Well, you could.
You could, but you shouldn't.
Yeah,
but it would happen.
If
it does happen to you, it does say lure and points the arrow. So the reason for the free sliding spreader and why we designed this was a lot of times guys just had a slider right here, right? And so, when you have a dropper with mono and, everybody reels into move, right? What's the first thing that happens when you bring it up? Everything usually tangles up. Well, this gives you 3 inches of space. And so as you bring it up and see how it hangs apart? It does that with the weight. That lead's in a hole like this, and so it keeps it apart.
If it's completely vertical, you got that separation. If you're on that little slider, which is typically the size of that end of it, right? That is going to drop down right there, and guess what? That's where you run into the problem.
Yeah, and that still can be effective, but again, we're trying to get rid of those problems, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to weed out, even if you improve it by 3%, you've improved your catch ratio by 3%, or your fishing time by 3%. For instance, today, if we'd have been able to fish maybe 3% more than time without the grass, we may have, bumped another fish. Could happen. Just saying though, right? The more time you're fishing.
More time in the water.
That's the idea. And it can be rigged, fixed, or free sliding. This is Lexan plastic, very difficult to break, and they come in 4 colors, so you can kind of match your hatch. They come in the pink, they come in a chartreuse, they come in a clear, and they come in an orange. So we've got the 4 colors, and they also have stainless steel grommets here, and so you're never going to get the plastic to pull through. Saltwater is not going to tarnish them, and so this thing's pretty much, unless you lose it, you can use this thing functioning for a very long period of time. And now you see this kind of funny piece of wire here. Well, a lot of guys for years have been using dropper wires. Now a lot of guys fish suspended, and when you're fishing suspended, I just clip the ball weight right to the bottom of this. But when I'm fishing buoy,
Puget Sound.
Yeah, like we do in Puget Sound, or when I'm pro trolling or whatever. But in this fishery, a lot of times, you get some big tides going in or out, whichever way that is. I like to push up against the sands and drag on the sand, right? And with a mono bumper, I found when it's going through there, what does it do? It flexes, and so your gear's doing this a lot. And so I like my gear to kind of be intact and follow those little dips and dives, right? Because that's where those fish sit, is in those, a lot of times when they're trying to buck off, get off that current and not buck it.
Absolutely. They're tucking their nose in.
And this wire has really helped me, because as it's going to the bottom, it's almost like a bottom walker, right? It keeps your lead right on the bottom, and you can feel it. And so when it is, my gear is this far off the bottom. And I know that, right?
Right down where they're at.
And we make these in 2 sizes. We make them in a 10-inch, and this happens to be the 15-inch.
And you like to run the 15 as your dropper?
I like to run the 15 as my dropper. Some guys will take and actually put this wire in between here like this, and then connect it to their fish flash and their spreader, which keeps, again, this rigid, you know what I mean? And so everything stays away. Myself, I really like to do it this way, and I'll actually take and I dress up my sliders. I'll put some tape on them or whatever, UV flash. I like to match them up, you know what I mean? Pink and pink, down to pink or whatever.
Agreed.
But I really like these wires. And then they use the 10-inch for the dropper. Myself, I like the 15-inch for the dropper. Those bigger, thicker fish, if they're sucked right to the bottom, I like to come right by their jaw. So
I've seen some guys that rig that with that 10-inch as their spreader. Their distance between their slider and their
you can go either way.
And then your 15-inch as your dropper. Or you could flip that around. I like to be like you. I like to be that 15-ish off the bottom, right? I just feel like that's a more appropriate strike zone.
Me too.
That has revolutionized, especially for beginners and persons who are running that type of gear for the first few times, or you're in somebody else's boat, and if you're one that gets out there and does your buoy 10 fisher and bring friends and family that don't have a lot of experience, this alleviates a whole bunch of headaches for you in that massive tangle, simply by lifting your rod and teaching them to catch their lead as it comes in. Now we're talking 16 and 20 ounce cannonballs.
Right.
We're swinging a pound of lead around that's going to hit somebody.
Waves, it's like this.
In the wind, these things get spinning in the wind, and that stuff gets jumping around. So all of that coming in, and if they're able just to focus on that 16-ounce cannonball coming in on that wire and just grab that and control their lead, this makes a huge difference in their ability to control that lead.
Well, I have a rule in my boat, and I tell everybody when they first get in, I kind of explain how it works, and I says, hey, reel your line counter up to 7 feet, lift the rod, the weight swings into your hand, right?
Yep.
And so that way it's not dangling around. You don't get the 16-ounce lead at your rod tips, snapping rod tips and things like that, and it's just kind of another effective method, to do that. But I really like this wire for that Buoy 10 and the I-205, like Springer Fishery I-5.
Absolutely.
Those types of things.
And that's the rigging wire by YBC.
Rigging wire by YBC. They come in the package, just looks like this.
Right. And you get them in the 10 or 15 inch.
10 or 15 inch. That's
now,
up to you.
let's talk leader length on our spinners if you're trolling it behind your fish flash before we get out of here. But, the leader length for some is something that they either have a hard time remembering, or it doesn't matter. Does it truly matter based on size of spinner, color, presentation, speed, all that stuff?
I really don't think it does. My main concern for my leader length when I'm fishing there is water clarity. The dirtier it is, the closer I'm going to put it to this thing.
Sure,
up to 30 inches at times.
Yeah.
And if it's a little cleaner or the fish are maybe a hair finickier and you can just sense that, I extend it out. And you can see I have a lot of swivels in here, right? Because this is all spinning, and I like that. It's easy to change everything out, right? And it just gives this thing more freedom to move, and this more freedom to move. And this happens to be Hunter's favorite spinner. He's fished this thing since he was little. Every time he puts it down, it gets crushed. You can
Every
see
time
rusted.
I see a picture with Buzz Ramsey in a spinner in a fish's mouth, it's that red and white.
Well, it's red and white, and this one happens to be a candy-backed one that we made a few years back.
Oh, yeah.
And Hunter loves them, and you can see I've straightened it and went out with it, and I've kept this since he was like 6.
Yep. So
a couple different versions
are available. Yeah, different versions. And
Mulkey
sizes.
5.5 is my favorite spinner there.
Right.
Red, white, pink, with the white dot is a good one, or the copper red or brass red white tip. I like all those. You can see that kind of red and white theme, and if not, the chartreuse green dot's always a good
now,
one.
A lot of guys are running the Pearl Trolls or some type of 360-degree rotating flash.
It will not hold it.
Huh?
No, it won't hold it.
No. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's too big.
Yep.
So you're going to flatten out that flasher. Doesn't work. That's why I'm using these with a fish flash at Buoy 10. That's why I like to fish those.
It's all in line. Yep.
And it's all in line. And there's other methods. Like I said, you can use a fish flash and a herring. And I rig all my stuff up just like this, so I can just snap my new flasher on, and I'm fishing a herring just a few seconds later.
But they can run that slider and spreader bar and those droppers for their leads in front of their rotators, right?
Yeah, you can run the slider, and if you want to run the spreader dropper, you can. Most of the time, I'm suspended when I'm running those, and so I don't. The fish flash is just a great tool to have with this. I love these when I'm fishing over at Buoy 10. This is really all I fish over there. I don't fish the Pro Trolls.
Yep.
And they're basically indestructible. I think I showed you guys this earlier, but you can take this thing and you can bend it however you really want, and it won't break.
That does not crack or break. It's not a brittle plastic.
So not a brittle plastic. Put it right back to where it went, and there you go.
It's amazing you guys keep selling them. They never wear out.
They're pretty indestructible.
Buy one, it's good for the rest of your life.
It's kind of
it literally almost has a lifetime guarantee.
Yeah, pretty close.
Unless you light it on fire.
Pretty close. And they're UV injected Lexan too, and so we have what we call glow edge, and so you can see the light as you turn them. And that's really that's my method. I fish herring, anchovies, I fish spinners, and now I'm going to start to fish spin fish.
They
and that's it.
3 sizes, but for salmon stuff, they're 2 sizes, right?
Yeah. So salmon, the fish flash the fish flash come in 4 sizes: 4, 6, 8, and 10 inch.
Right. Okay.
Most of the ones I use over there are 8s and 10s, again, depending on water clarity. And I just kind of stick with that. And again, my main thing is we were talking to Tommy earlier about speed. I don't watch my speed over ground. I watch my line angle.
Yeah.
Because current's going to dictate that, and you may have to adjust your weight or whatever to achieve the depth you need to keep line angles, whether it's a heavy inflow or out, and just to make sure you're fishing right. And that's the important part. And checking your gear, working your gear, right? Checking it for weeds, and make sure your bait's running, and just make sure everything's running good. Your spinner wires are straight. All these little bitty things for that weekend warrior. Yeah. And there's tons of good info. Like, you guys put out tons of good content. So all you guys watching out there, this is going to keep flowing until the Buoy 10 fishery comes. You're going to see more little tips and tactics and trends, and pay attention. Look on the YouTube page, check those things out, because that is these little bits of knowledge we learn from each other every day.
Where do I go if I want to find some of this Yakima Bait gear?
So this is pretty much everywhere. Most of these stores have them. Your bigger stores do. Sportco, I know, has a great selection of things down there. I was there the other day. They have a great selection. You can find probably majority of these items there. And one thing that's important, is I try to match the hatch, like I said, and I feel that's important. Terry Mulkey and Buzz and I have had some discussions on this. This is really interesting. Terry Mulkey feels that if he's running one fish flash with pearl on it, he'll run all of them with UV. right? And it makes sense. And so Buzz and I had this discussion, right? You don't see like, you know, a herd of elk and a herd of deer and sheep and everything running together and playing, right? Same with bait. Same with bait, right?
Yeah.
Bait goes together with the same color. And so whatever it is, color they're keyed on for that type of thing, or whatever that flash or whatever is attracting them, it's kind of good to kind of match that. And so I know Bill Monroe Jr.
I was just going to say, Bill Monroe is
This is
a standout in that he runs one flasher.
This one.
All season, every season, That's it.
Non-stop.
There's nothing else.
8 or 10
That's
inch.
the Bill
This
Monroe.
is it. This is called the BMK, Bill Monroe Killer, because this is what he does with fish. He flat kills fish with this flasher.
He flat
kills fish.
All right, check out your local retailer. Get to Sportco Outdoor Emporium. They're going to have all your YBC gear as long as they can get it in stock. I mean, that seems to be a problem as of late for most outlets. So, all right, fantastic information. Appreciate you taking the time to break down the YBC stuff. Really
always,
good.
brother. Always, brother.
My little buddy who is always by my side. Jarod Higginbotham. All right, we're going to jump out for a quick break. We come back. Guess what? Tommy's over here smiling because we have more tuna talk.
Yeah, Tommy Tuna.
Colin. We come back right here on Fish on Northwest after this break. Welcome back, Fish on Northwest, waiting on Tommy Dolan and the world infamous Jarod Higginbotham, little tiny man himself. Small man.
I prefer petite.
Stuff.
That was fun.
Appreciate you rattling all that off. If you can't speak in rapid tongue, then just slow it down and listen to it on a slower cadence.
See, in my mind, it comes out and I understand it all, but everybody else is like, "What language are you speaking, son?"
Right. Tommy, it is tuna season, as the previous conversation with Mark Coleman, which has you pretty excited. Has me excited because I'm going to finally get on the tuna ground. I believe I've had the last 3 years, believe it or not, where I've had trips scheduled to get out with some folks and in the industry, and weather is plaguing me every time. So this year, however, fortunately, we got the 29-foot Guadalupe with multiple dates to choose from, right?
Yes, we do.
Now, that being said, you got the tuna bug years ago. You are all about tuna. Your boat, your gear, your setup, your passion, your knowledge, it's all about tuna. When it's tuna time, it's like Tommy's going. I can recall 10 years ago doing radio, talking about tuna in the Pacific Northwest. Relatively new for a lot of people, right? Commercial guys have been going out getting them for years. Jarod and I were in studio years back talking tuna. Other folks, Dale Stevens, a handful of folks throughout the Pacific Northwest, became kind of synonymous with tuna how-to presentations. I mean, there were a few, right? And you, my friend, very well known throughout the Pacific Northwest region, on your tuna seminars and, at the boat show and things like that, right? So, back then, as I'm absorbing all this information about this phenomenal, this tuna upswing. And back then, believe it or not, and you're going to probably disagree with this, but the two most rapidly growing fisheries in the Pacific Northwest were tuna and kokanee. What do
I win?
Everybody wins, right? So, that being said, we would have those discussions about tuna. And think back, long before folks would, so you'd order up a boat. You go get a new boat. And then you kind of get the tuna bug, right? And now you're thinking, man, I got to do full-on equipment change. I'm talking rods and reels, presentation, bait, jigs. It's a whole different world. Now I got this boat with one motor. It's a 20-footer. Do I take a tuna fishing, don't I? If you're a pretty savvy ocean guy anyway and go out after salmon, you're probably going to dip your toe in the tuna pool and go give it a go, right? Then you start a couple years into it, it's like, man, I need a bigger boat. I need a 20.
I need a bait tank.
I need a 27, and I need a bait tank, right? So that is kind of the progression from all those salmon fishermen that have kind of now evolved into bigger boats, bigger motors, better electronics, totally different gear change out, geared up, ready to go. 10 years ago, I'm going, oh my God, that is so much money how these guys do it. But over time, right, people kind of, it's like, hey, I've already recognized I want a bigger boat. It happens.
Well, the thing is that you get one chance to live this life. Period.
Amen, brother.
Right?
You get one chance.
Amen.
Do you want to get to the end of your life and say, man, I wish I would have fill in the blank, right?
Amen, dude.
And that's something for me that I decided very early on, no matter what it costs, what I have to do to achieve that, I'm going to do it. I'll figure it out, right? And tuna is one of those things. And the tuna have always been here. I've got, a good buddy at work who shared a picture with me. He was just a little kid back in 1969. They went out on the Teacher's Pet 3 out of Westport, and he's sitting there holding this tuna at the dock.
1963.
69.
Oh, 69.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like the summer of 69?
Yeah.
Ooh, Brian Adams, good tune.
Yeah.
Nice work, Tommy.
Yeah.
I like it.
I was 3.
It was before my time.
I was 3.
I was negative 9.
Yeah,
great.
negative 9.
Yeah, I was negative 9.
I was 3. So that could have been me holding it.
And this fishery has definitely evolved.
Sure.
When I got into it in 2007, it was, you could go out and you could troll 7 clones, all the same color, like you had just mentioned at the bait lab. And you could just load the boat, like 25 fish, 30 fish, fill up your fish holds and go back to port, and it was game over. Like there was nothing to think about. You just did it, right? You went out there, you found 59-degree water, put your lines in, and you were hooked up before you could grab that first sip of coffee. And that was it, right? And then, about 2 years later, I discovered the power of bait, right? Live bait. And with that live bait fishery, the first time that we went out, it was like you blinked and there was 38 fish laying on the deck.
That is so fun.
And it was like, what just happened? You got blood on your face, look on top of the boat, there's blood up on the radar. I mean, it was just a massacre, right?
Blood, yeah.
And so that's where the addiction really set in as to what this tuna thing was about. But, what I wanted to cover here in this segment is kind of starting at the beginning, like the folks that are new to tuna fishing, just getting into it. What's the single most important thing that these folks need to know? And I would say there's one thing. Okay, if you didn't try to learn about trolling or live bait or jigging, there's one thing, and that's finding the tuna.
Got to find them first.
You got to find them first. And the key to finding these fish is really understanding sea surface temperature and chlorophyll. Okay, now chlorophyll is the measure of zooplankton in the water, right? So you heard Mark Coleman talk about the green water and the blue water. Okay, that green water is full of life, right? When we're fishing salmon off the coast, it's like an olive green kind of pukey looking color water, right? Can't really see through it. You might be able to see down 20, 30 feet, but when we talk about blue water, you can look down and your fish can be at 80 feet and you can see your fish in the water column. It's just gin clear water. And so in order to do that, you have to be able to read a sea surface temperature chart and a chlorophyll chart. Okay. And I use RIP charts. It's the name of the company that produces these. So you have a satellite fly overhead, and it takes a picture of the water, and you can see they've got algorithms that basically turn that data into color charts, plots, and you can see where these sea surface temperature breaks or chlorophyll breaks are, and how they're transposed onto the topography of the shelf. And really, what we're looking for is what we call a hard break. So not like a 1/10 of a degree break or a 3/10 of a degree break, but if I can find like a 2-degree temp break, that's going to be money when it comes to tuna. And the same thing with color. If it goes from like ugly green and all of a sudden it is bright blue, you shouldn't go any further. And I think that's where a lot of the folks that are new to tuna fishing, they take a GPS coordinate approach to the fishery, and that is wrong. So they'll hear like, hey, Mark Coleman told me that they're at the 125 line and 4630 north. And so they'll plug it into their GPS and they'll beeline it for that coordinate. Never mind the fact that they passed the entire commercial fleet on the way there.
Yeah.
They passed the blue water break.
Right.
They passed the 62 degree water. You can't think that way. It's a very visual sport.
Sure.
So once you figure out where those breaks are on the chart and you have a general idea of where they are north to south, you set out, right? Now is the point where it really becomes visual. 5 miles before we get into the zone, or even 5 to 8, I'm telling my crew, hey, get out of the beanbag, start scanning the water, watch, look, right? And I'm really asking them to look for birds.
Yep.
Tell me what the water color is doing, and because the easiest way to read the water color is to look in your prop wash and watch that color change. You can see it.
It's so cool too.
And so it is a total team sport, and they're on watch. And when it comes to the zone, you're going to see birds right now. You don't just want a bird that's flying across the surface of the water, right? You want a shearwater that's sitting on the water and he's looking in the water, and then he comes up and he kind of pitter patters and looks in the water. And it doesn't have to be like a flock of birds. I just need one bird. I need one bird that knows that there's something going on underneath the surface. If I see that, I can almost guarantee there's tuna underneath that bird when he's got that kind of behavior.
When he's looking.
That is cool, dude. That's some neat stuff right there. It takes you pay attention to.
And then,
it's like a pointer.
Yeah. Basically, he's like right here, right here, right here.
Just training your bird.
Now, there's another visual aspect of it that I think a lot of people overlook because they've got, old chart plotters, old sonar systems. They don't really know what they're looking at when they look at their chart plotter and their sonar. They don't know, was that a fish or was that just like, scatter? What am I looking at?
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I typically, when I'm driving, I stay glued to my sonar, and everybody else, I've got a tower, so I've got somebody that's, 6-7 feet off of the surface of the water, and they're scanning because they can see a lot farther up there. But I'm glued to that sonar, and that, as we troll along, if I see one mark, like one red little mark underneath my boat, I immediately go to neutral, and the guys are bringing in the troll gear. I'm yelling. You'll get to experience this. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun for me, especially.
Oh, I can't wait.
I've been waiting to yell at you.
I'm
just kidding. And there's live bait that's going in the water, okay? Because that one sonar mark, you just clip the edge of a school that could probably be 200 strong tuna underneath your boat. And if you can hook that first fish, the school's going to come.
It's on.
Okay. So really impress upon people, understanding sea surface temperature, understanding chlorophyll. And then once you get out there, it's a visual thing. Don't run to the GPS coordinate. That's key.
Yeah. All hands on deck.
All hands on deck.
So as far as folks who may, want to, again, kind of dip their toe into the tuna pool, obviously, best place to start is go with those that are doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You may have a 21 or 24 or 27 foot boat sitting at home.
Right.
You've never gone after tuna.
Yeah.
You're a salmon fisherman. You got confidence out there running out of Westport or running out of Waco or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you're down there off the Garibaldi coast or wherever, right, out of Oregon. But instead of just doing a full-on, hey, I'm going to get the gear, and I'm going to load my boat, and I'm going to put on this poly tank now, and I got live bait, and I'm going to go for it, there's a huge investment in all those things I just mentioned.
Yes.
And then you get out there, and you struggle. You can't find them. You're frustrated.
Right.
You go time and time again, burn and feel, da-da-da.
Yep.
And pretty soon you're like, why in the heck did I ever take this on?
Yep.
I would back up and say, before you make that investment, a leap of faith, get with some folks that know what they're doing. Either go with the chart or go with somebody who's doing it, right?
And to put it into perspective, to go with Mark and his crew, or to go with like Daryl Johnson, Far Corner Sport Fishing,
he's a stud too.
Terry Ellen, Offshore Northwest, any of those guys, it is cheap, okay? $400 and you are going to get schooled, right? I would rather spend $400 than try to take my own boat for the first time.
You're in
now
much anyway.
I'm buying $150 worth of bait. I bought all this gear. Maybe I don't need some of it. I bought, $400 worth of fuel because I had to run 50, 60 miles.
Right.
that one investment to learn from the pros is absolutely the way to go.
See, this is truly something you want to take on.
And that's something that we do everywhere. You know, when we went down to Florida and started fishing in Florida, we're going with one of the top captains, Captain Art Sapp, right, of the Native Son. So anytime you're getting into any new fishery, it doesn't have to just be tuna. You want to go with the pro. You want to go with the guy or the gal that makes their living off of that fishery.
Yeah, one thing, you know, when I went tuna fishing too, that, you know, I would make sure people know is it is very fast, it's very exciting, and there's a lot going on. And so if you really do pay that money for that trip, make sure that your mindset is to focus on what's going on, not just landing fish, tripping over fish, you know, getting another bait, getting a rod in the water, right? Like, just pay attention to what that captain does. Because I can remember we had the divers, right? And the guy's like, he's like, big fella, he goes, you're the diver guy. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you're going to hand line those in and slam them on the deck. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And we're trolling, and all of a sudden those divers start popping, and I'm wham, and he's throwing live bait over the boat and turning a circle, and the ocean starts to boil and rods start going out, and I'm like, oh come on, right? You know, and so ever since then, dude, that's when I got that addiction, right? Just like you, I mean, it was instant, like now, and I want to go every chance I get, and I just haven't been able to, but pay attention, because it does go so fast. Next thing you know, there's 80 tuna on the deck, and you're like, all right, we're going in, you're like, oh, I forgot all that. So if you do pay, like you said, you know, I mean, from my standpoint, I don't retain much of it, except it was like one of the funnest things I've ever done. Every time I go.
I just remember it was fun.
But, you know
that's another good point. You know, we talked a little bit about, you know, the mentality of people when they step onto a charter boat or step onto, you know, somebody's boat they're new to. My mentality is I almost act like I know nothing, right? I'm there to learn and absorb this other person's program. I'm not there to say, oh, well, I know what I'm doing, or hey, no, we should do it this way. No. I want to watch and observe, because there could be just that little 5%, that one thing that makes my program better. And you got to pay attention.
Without question.
Right there is sound advice. All right. On that note, we are going to jump out for a quick break. More from Tommy Tuna coming over the next several weeks as we progress through getting you into this tuna season as it unfolds and actually improves week by week, and those fish continue to get closer and closer and in more abundance, and folks are out there finding success. We're going to help you be successful, tapping into the nugget of my counterpart right over here to the right of me.
Now you got me all excited.
I'm ready to go.
Ready to go now. All right, we'll jump out for a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have Karl Freudenstein pole-to-pole fishing on the Reel Electric. Great story coming out of Westport this last week. 16-year-old Carson Santos landed a nice 40-pound Chinook. There's many of those coming out of our ocean water.
That was a big fish.
Okay, it was 46.5 gutted and bled, right around 40-41. Rough scale out there on the ocean. So we're going to talk to Karl about the Chinook fishery as it is happening out there at Westport, how strong the fishery is, and you know, we're seeing a number of big fish. This one here takes the cake, though. That's a 40-pound for a 16-year-old kid. Don't go anywhere.
Special.
Have Karl on the phone. We come back from this 1 minute break right here on Fish on Northwest.
Come out of break of night, the pink skies waving goodbye. Come out of break of night.
Hey, welcome back, Fish in Northwest, here in studio, Dwayne England, Tommy Dolan, and of course our guest host, Jarod Higginbotham, coming forward with a lot of information this evening. It sounds like my mic's cutting out a little bit.
I can hear you good.
Is that possible? No, it's still got a green light. I don't know what's going on. It sounds like it's cutting out. Is it cutting out?
No, I hear you good.
Are you sure? Okay, good. My earpiece is cutting out, then I don't know what's going on. All right. Without further ado, going to introduce Karl Freudenstein, pole-to-pole fishing on the Reel Electric. You've also teamed up with Tailwalker Fisheries, if I'm not mistaken. How are you doing tonight, Karl?
Doing good. Out working, actually. Got to pay for stuff.
There you
All right,
go.
there we go. Now we got you. Hey, so yeah, we're good. You've been out there getting going on your season out at Westport. Been out there chasing some Chinook and finding some decent success. There's some big fish to be had. You would know first and foremost, as you had a family friend and a young man on your boat that has fished with you a handful of times, Carson Santos, 16 years old, boated what you guesstimate to be a 40 to 41 pound Chinook. Gutted and bled and weighed. It still came in at 36.5. Tell us about that fish we're looking at right now on the TV.
Man, that's a big fish.
Yeah.
It's a hog.
Oh, it was a toad.
Good night.
And he did it, believe it or not, on a center pin reel.
How about you just kick me?
Yeah, 16-year-old on a center pin, right?
Nice work, kid.
Yeah.
On a center pin, and it took off. I looked over, saw the line going towards the kicker motor, and I thought it was wrapped around the motor. So I threw it in neutral and said, oh no, let's see. And he lifted it up, and sure enough, it was in the clear. And we go, oh, this is good. This is good. Yeah. So, and the fight was on, and he did absolutely everything perfect. So, what I didn't tell you, Dwayne, as soon as I hooked that fish, or I should say, Carson hooked it, we hooked another one. We had a double on.
Oh.
Yeah. So my son grabbed the other one, and we got that one in first, and then we fought, and Carson got that big 40 in, and oh boy, was that kid happy. Oh man, he was proud and loud. Everybody on the ocean heard him.
Loud and proud. You know, that's a heck of an accomplishment for a 16-year-old angler.
Oh man!
And to put on top of that, it's a center pin. How deep were you fishing? Then that fish come on bait. What size herring did that thing grab if you're dragging bait?
We were dragging anchovies.
Oh, anchovies.
Yep, we did. We had anchovies on that one. That one we had down at 90. We were bouncing between 140, 130, 120. I brought that one up to 90, and then it got whacked. And we got that day. We did better, a little bit better above that 75 to 90. I know Mark talked about Daryl. Daryl's out there fishing too, and he was doing a little bit better down deeper. But for whatever reason, you know how that is, and where our gear's riding and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that one came at 90.
Did you have it behind a flasher, a fish flash, or just straight off the rigger? How are you running it?
Behind the flasher, straight off the rigger, and we were running 3 riggers, so one on each side and one off the other corner, and yeah, just fit about 32, 36 inches behind the flasher, and boom, it annihilated it.
I bet it did.
What kind of anchovy heads do you like to use?
The helmet, we were using that which one was it? The Reese Davis, is that the one? Yeah. And,
yeah, that's a good one.
Yep, and pinned it with that, and I don't know if you know, but the anchovies in Westport at this time are really small, so I was kind of a little worried about that, but they didn't seem to care. They didn't care.
Obviously. Yeah, I'm thinking, obviously.
Right? Yeah.
I eat cookies too, though. I eat cookies too, so.
You eat sunflower seeds.
I eat sunflower seeds. I mean, come on.
That's a great comparison. So next time somebody says, well, a big fish eat that small little anchovy, you say, hey, Big Jared eats sunflower seeds.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Toss me a cookie, I'll make it disappear.
Yeah. So overall, Karl, how would you gauge this season's performance so far as maybe not necessarily just total numbers of fish, but the health and the size of the fish that you're seeing out of Westport?
Oh boy, the quality is just it is way better than we've seen in years. The fish are healthier than it is. They're just we put 5 on the boat that day, and there's I had 3 others that were just would be really decent fish, in the 20s and the teens, and then that big just kind of makes them look like little
the behemoths.
Well, it's like me sitting here with Jarod again. I mean,
Right.
it's like, everybody goes, wow, Dwayne's a pretty big guy, 6'2", 220 or whatever. Then there's Jarod, right? I mean, so,
You call it Jarod fish. Congratulations.
Yeah. Once in a lifetime.
all matters the school you run with. Is what happens.
That's right. That's awesome.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but hey, we're hearing that from a number of folks that the quality of the fish this year, the amount of feed that they're finding out there. I would like to venture to say that our ocean conditions have drastically improved since we got through those low years of 2015, 2016 in the blob, the warm conditions, the massive loss of forage fish and all the microscopic plankton and stuff, and just that entire food chain breakdown that really hammered us for 2015, 2016, kind of dipped into 2017. We're kind of finally finding ourselves out of that cycle with healthy reports of conditions in the ocean, lots of food abundance, and now we're seeing the benefits of that. These fish coming in that are, like you said, healthy fish.
You're right, Dwayne. And when we slice them open, we're finding anchovies, we're finding herring, and we found sardines. It's something that's been missing out of the food chain for a while.
Okay.
Come on, buffet.
Some big sardines, and I know that's been a worry. I've talked to other people that really worried about that sardine fishery, and boy, we found them in their bellies. So
That's good to hear, man.
yeah, that is good to hear.
Good sign. Yeah. So, hey, you still have quite a bit of fishing to do in your running trips. What can folks do to get a hold of you? How do they get a day on the real electric with you if they want to come out and join you on the water?
Yeah, they can get a hold of me at my website at poletopolefishing.com, or get a hold of me on Facebook or Pole to Pole Fishing on Facebook, and Patrick Walker, Joe Walker Fisheries on Facebook. We're partnered up this year, and we are gonna turn our. Yeah, you guys were talking about tuna and just got my blood going.
That's what we were just talking about.
So we're going to start turning our attention to tuna here real quick, and we're going to be out there with Tommy and the gang pounding on these tuna real soon. But I'm excited about the salmon fishery and the salmon going forward. It looks healthy, and hope these big fish continue to keep coming in and people can get on them.
Definitely a lot better than the past couple of years, for sure.
That's
Hands
beautiful.
down.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah. We've gotten some really good fishing reports the last couple of segments. That's getting me pumped up. I'm liking it.
So we're sitting okay as far as amount of fish still left on the table for us, an opportunity to go get them. So that's also encouraging. So, fantastic, Karl. Really glad to finally get you on the show. Don't be a stranger. We'll keep in touch with you as you progress into your tuna season as well. We'll probably in the near short future see you out there on the water.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Looking forward to it. All right, guys. Good luck fishing, and we'll see you out there.
All right. Have a good night.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, so, we keep hearing this kind of common theme, and that is the not just the abundance of fish on some days, and some days you're working for them, much like Oahu and Westport and those fisheries as they were, but just the quality of the fish, the amount of food in their bellies, they're just feeding. And back to our point earlier on in the show, if you missed it, we're talking about those fish migratory coming out of the northern end and turning the corner and heading down south and coming into this areas 9, 10, 11, 13 down here south sound. They're just up there on that buffet. They
don't have a lot of motivation to go anywhere.
Why would you, man? Set a pizza here, I ain't leaving either. We had the discussion about the cookie.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but that's a deal though, right? They're doing their thing, and every year, no matter what the date is it opens, people are gonna go, right? Sure. And every year they're there or they're not, or they're there or they're not, or they're there or they're not, right? And you still keep grinding out until they get there.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And that's just kind of how it works. And if we all could predict Mother Nature, our jobs would be a lot easier.
Oh, absolutely. Right. One thing I wanted to back up and throw back at you that I kind of thought of earlier was, okay, so you experienced a flat-out just fantastic CQ fishery first weekend out there.
Yeah.
Abundance of fish in near, didn't have to go far to get them, just
2 miles.
Lights out fishing that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Then the next weekend, you were like, oh, okay, so now we got to go out in the ocean for them. We got to at least go out quite a bit further than we were. We're just not a whole lot happening right here within that 2 mile range.
Yeah.
Any discussions you're hearing in your circles or anybody mentioning, is there concern? Like, we had this big push of fish. Now, where's the next wave? Do we have a next wave?
Oh yeah, there is.
All right.
There absolutely is. So that second weekend that I went out there, a lot of those fish were stacked up right off of Wada Island, right in front of Nia Bay. And so, we were getting them anywhere from 120 feet all the way out to 400 feet of water.
Yeah, I remember
in that huge swath. And guys were getting limits in there too.
Okay.
They were having to work for them,
Yeah.
work the whole day to get your limit. But those fish were definitely there. That second pulse of fish.
Yeah.
And then on the outside of Nia Bay, south of Tatoosh there all the way down to, Umatilla.
Yeah.
There was another batch of fish, right?
Oh, good.
And those were a lot of those same high quality fish that they're seeing down in Westport now.
Yeah.
And guys were getting them there. So
Okay.
so there's multiple, groups of fish. The surprising thing so far for me is that Swiftsure Bank hasn't really held fish this year.
Yeah.
Which is very odd because it always holds fish.
Sure.
So I don't know what's going on there, but all that bait's stacked up on shore. Both south of Tatoosh Island, south of Nia Bay, and then in the Strait, all the way past CQ. So
one thing to consider too, we do have halibut opportunity coming up. We haven't spoke the words of halibut this entire season. I mean, here we are. We're going to roll into August. August 6th, I believe, if I remember right, is the opener for halibut.
It is.
We're going to have to kind of rewind, respool, probably throw in a halibut tutorial.
God, it's messing with my mind.
I know, and we're probably going to
August
have
and
to,
halibut.
we're gonna have to have one day and go out and get some halibut in the freezer. I mean, at least one day, right? So things to consider. Wide open in some cases, ocean Chinook fisheries, coho in abundance. Puget Sound is going to start taking off here. And hold on, pull back on the reins a little bit. We still have some halibut opportunities that we need to take advantage of. The other thing on that is those halibut are substantially bigger.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So it could be well worth the sacrifice of going out for a day of electric grill fishing once again. Which was interesting. I had a couple comments on our YouTube channel referencing our deepwater lingcod.
That was fun to watch.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a good time. And we made it perfectly clear. Look, this is not like recreational sports fishing. This is grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And we're using these reels and having a good time out on the water with friends and high-fiving and catching some monster big head, bigger than that head, lingcod. And
wow,
you know what?
I know.
We'll do it for
shots
halibut.
fired.
Yeah, we'll do it for halibut, and it's not necessarily all about the sport and the action on the rod and the fight. It's about putting phenomenal groceries in your freezer.
Wait a second now. There's still sport in using an electric. You have to know how much pressure to put on that.
I'll race you to the top.
Yeah, don't burn that clutch up, and you
still got to play the fish. You still got to say your drag.
There you do.
Yeah, and it's called fishing smarter. Not harder.
You don't have to convince me.
And you don't convince me. Tiny reels, big hands. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Hey, haters are going to hate. They hate us because they ain't us.
I know. All right. Fantastic. All right, we're going to jump out for a quick break. We come back. We're going to close out the show with our little buddy over there, Jarod Higginbotham. YBC, you heard him talk about it at the beginning of the show and some of the techniques we used out of Puget Sound this morning. Talked about it in the bait lab, referencing the spin fish. Evolution of that. Also, moving forward, kind of maybe some things to come out of YBC as we roll through the rest of this season and beyond. Because, let's face it, tackle manufacturers are having a really hard time keeping up with production due to the COVID shutdowns, minimal staffing.
Demand.
You couple minimal production with extremely high demand that we haven't seen in years. We have a flow problem of getting
it happens.
Getting
all of us
the supplies into the hands of those that want them. So jump out for a quick break. 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. Stick with us. We'll be back right here on Fish on Northwest. Welcome back, Fish on Northwest, Wayne and Tommy Nolan. And of course, Jarod Higginbotham from YBC, Yakima Bait Company, for those that didn't pick up on the acronym. And things discussed at the break cannot be discussed during the show. So,
that's the beauty of TV.
Jarod, so great to have you with us.
I love it, buddy.
You showed up here late yesterday. We had a phenomenal dinner last night. Hats off to Shing.
Thank you, Shing.
That spaghetti was amazing. And have just enjoyed hanging out like we do, a couple days with Big
fun, man.
Always a win for everybody involved. Got Hunter out there on some fish today. Had a good time at Puget Sound. But that being said, YBC, Yakima Bait Company, and the Spinfish, you have proven, especially with your breakdown of your success rate up there on the Upper Columbia relative to Chinook and sockeye, there's room for this thing. You left me with a few of them to go ahead and utilize this fall in my in-river fisheries, in my terminal fisheries. I can foresee drift boat, anchor, stuff them full of tuna, drop them out in the rod holders, and just wait. Here we go, back bounce them, whatever, right? Put a little drop on it, set it out there like I would a plug or any other type of presentation. But that spinfish, I'm telling you, the fact that it replicates just a herring or an anchovy sitting there in a drill bit is amazing, and I can't wait to get those things and put them in the river and put them to use.
I've been thinking about that myself and the different ways I would rig that, right? And a lot of us, we used to fish jet divers and eggs, right? Like in a drift boat, that's one of my favorite ways to fish,
Me too.
And, everything evolves and you start doing different things. But I'm thinking, how I would rig it, at this point in time, if I was going to back bounce it or put it on a jet diver, is I'd slide a bobber stop and a couple beads about that far above it, and I put a spinning glow above it, right?
Yeah.
Just for buoyancy to kind of help keep it up on those, when that, current on the bottom is tumbling, to keep it flowing and up, or, a couple of black corkies, something like that. For those situations, it's just kind of one of those endless things, right? I got guys in the Great Lakes using them for walleye, stuffing them with night crawlers and hanging a crawler off the tail and fishing them on a bottom walker.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so I got guys ask me if they can cast them and all these different things. So it's just a really, really cool lure that has a lot of potential, right?
How many different sizes right now can you get them in?
So right now it comes in the 3.0 and the 4.0, which is 3-inch and 4-inch.
Yep.
And then, we're working on the 2.0 and 2.5, which I do have the prototypes of. Again, there's 4. So I do have one of each prototype, and they're expensive when they're that. So I don't want to lose it, right? Like every time that rod folded with a Chinook, I was like, trying not to lose the thing, right? Because it's the only one I had. So, but it's a neat lure. It's got a lot of potential. There's a lot of just cool things you can do with it. And, the bait thing stuff, and it's endless. And the cool thing about the spinfish, which you can't do with some of the other ones, is you can change parts, right? Like you can take a double treble head and one of the chartreuse and put them together. So you can really put that contrast, right?
Absolutely.
They're interchangeable. There's no rubber bands. They're really easy, fairly easy to clean. They don't come apart. Just kind of a cool lure, something different that you can, definitely fit in the box.
Referring back again to like some of our fall fishery opportunities, casting plugs, casting 3.5 mag lips, casting other YBC plugs for coho has proven productive. I would think for certain you could certainly cast that spinfish out there on a little dropper lead on a
I don't see why you couldn't. Throw an egg weight above it or something. Right. I don't know. You don't try it.
Yeah. What isn't tried won't work, as our buddy Herb used to always say. And that is one that you just look at and go, why wouldn't I give that a go?
Yeah.
Especially if I got a coho boiling in a soft water around structure and things like that.
Yeah. It's kind of endless possibilities, right? And that's the beauty of a new lure, right? Is we see it and we kind of, see it as we would use it or as we would want it interpreted, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you start all this other stuff back of, have you tried this? Have you done this? I did it with this. And I'm like, and that's the coolest part, right? Mm-hmm. When that excitement starts to come into me, it's really cool. And I've been telling my son, the lure was invented a while back. We bought the company from a fella, and we're promoting it, we're pushing it. We're the ones that gets it out on the market and makes it become alive, right? And gives it life. And that's what I was telling my son is, in 25 years or 30 years or whatever, whenever someone mentions spinfish, he can remember, hey, I was a part of starting to promote that.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a neat thing to have,
sure,
right?
Absolutely.
And that's one of the cool things about my job is when I travel somewhere and I see a 5.0 maglip hanging on a shelf in Michigan somewhere, and I think, man, I helped Buzz design that.
Right.
Like from start to finish. It was my very first project at Yakima Bait. Yep. So it kind of holds a special special place in my heart, right? Because lure design is not something everyone does, not to that degree, right? Like to get a plug to work and balance and, talk about, balancing weights and hook point placements and, the pull point placement and, how big the air chamber is and where to place all these things and shaving and moving and bending and tweaking. And it's way beyond what people think it is. It's not just, I want to be a fishing lure tester. Can you give me some and I'll go out there and tell you if they catch fish? Well, buddy, I already determined that part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why we're here.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, this part, right?
So.
Yeah, and then of course colors and then naming.
Colors and
you're the number one namer for Yakima.
Yeah, I get a name. Like I told you, the one I named Monkey Pickles. I tell Buzz because he's like, "What should we name this one?" Like Monkey Pickle. He's like, "Why?" Well, that's what my uncle used to call bananas, and it's funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, how's the future looking? I mean, Yakima Bait, along with a handful of other companies, manufacturers out there trying to get caught up with demand. Demand is through the roof.
Yeah, demand is through the roof, and it's like anything else. It's cycle, right? Just like fishing. We're talking about how we had downturns, and fishing wasn't that great, or whatever. We couldn't get fish in, and now all this opportunity we've talked about today, it's really the same thing with us, right? We'll all get back to it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And that has to do with a lot of political things. Shutdowns, can't work, can't do this, all out here and there, whatever. And but we'll catch up. It'll be a while, for everyone. Everyone's struggling. Every fishing set you go into, it's not just Yakima Bait, it's everyone's products, right?
Yeah.
And and that's just the nature of the beast right now. And we'll get through it as a group, as a fishing industry, right? Like, a lot of these guys are my competitors, right? But they're all my friends.
Sure.
I want them all to succeed. I want all of us to.
Pretty small.
All of us. The industry is very small, and my number one competitors, some of those guys are my best buddies.
Yeah.
And that's great, right? Like that's great. I love that part about the fishing industry, right? That we all just get along, and so we'll all get through it as a group. When I say all of us, I mean all of us. We'll all push through and get through as a group, and I feel that wholeheartedly. And as long as people are patient, I know everyone wants to go fishing, and I know they want gear. I get phone calls every day, and trust me, I want to sell it to you.
Oh yeah.
I don't build it to store it. I want it to go out, right?
I don't build it to
Trust me.
store it.
I would love you to sell you everything I have.
He does that with airplanes too.
Hey, he builds them to store them.
Store them, man. They got to roll them babies.
But we got some new cool stuff coming out this year. We got twitching jigs coming out that are Bobby Kratzer helped design.
Right.
They are pretty wicked, man. You're gonna love those.
Yeah.
3.5 Milky Blades. They should be out by this fall. Don't quote me, COVID thing, right? Like I said. So we got some Milky Blades coming out. 4-ounce bottom walkers for walleyes. We got some new rooster tail colors, new fish flash colors. So we got some cool stuff, man, coming out for 2021, and the new spin fish sizes.
Right.
So we got a lot of really cool stuff coming out. We're always working, man. Like, we're always we got 5 years worth of things to come out with, but it takes that long to perfect them, get them to where we think they're up to a standard that we would love to share them with everybody else. So.
That 2.0.
But his work, though, is testing. Right?
Well,
part of it is a large part of it.
Yeah,
right?
part of it's testing.
So when you say I've been working really hard, what you really mean is you've been fishing.
Yeah, and see, people are like, "Well, man, you've just been fishing the whole time." It's like no one wants to hear about me doing spreadsheets. No one wants to hear about me writing an order for a dude in Wisconsin, right? But I'm very fortunate, blessed, to have the friends and the job that I have. I love my job. I'm so lucky, and everybody I work with, it's the coolest thing ever. And I do get to do a lot of cool stuff. I do get to include my friends and my family and make new friends and meet new people and share my passion, right? Because I'm excited about fishing and fun because I sell fun. That's what I do for a living. People say, what do you do for a living? I sell fun.
Sell fun.
From the time you meet me until you buy your lures and you go out and catch your own fish, I sell you fun, right? That's the idea.
You manufacture fun.
I manufacture fun. I got a whole big old manufacturing plant at home. I'm like, you guys need to pump out more fun this week.
I told everybody to get on board this Higginbotham ride because this is going to be 2 hours, 2 hours of your life. The line is getting a little shorter. It is. They're actually getting off the ride and getting back in line.
That's good though, man.
Absolutely. Remember, Jarod eats sunflower seeds. Right?
Sunflowers and cookies.
Before we get out of here, you have a whole pile of stuff sitting on this seat right next to you. That is a prize pack from your big company for a giveaway. We're going to do it next week. We're going to actually post it up here in the next couple of days on our Facebook page, and we're going to tell you all about what it takes to get that. We got a handful of spinfish right there.
Yeah, I got some 3-inch and some 4-inch spinfish. I got some free sliding spreaders that I talked about in the bait lab. I also included 10-inch rigging wires and some of the 15-inch rigging wires, so you can really, kind of set yourself up similar to what I had shown in the bait lab, and go out and find your own success. I got a good selection of colors here, for you to choose from, however you like. Right? Go out, fish some spinfish, have some fun.
One of those 4-inch colors right there for my fall fishery in river.
Oh, dude, they're beautiful. I mean, come on. And who doesn't love the mad clown?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I mean, who doesn't love a mad, crazy clown?
That color,
that's fishy.
Of a 4.5 or 3.5.
Oh, it's money. And then, you got your standard lemon head.
Yep.
Mallard head, whatever everybody wants to call it.
This is about a $100 price pack brought to you by Yakima Bait Company and Big Jarod Higginbotham. So we are going to award that within this next week's show. We'll give that away in next week's show. We'll put it out on our Facebook page the next day or two, and exactly what you need to do to win that $100 value. Spinfish, dropper wires, and of course the sliders. So definitely get you rigged up for some of this early fall fishing that's coming your way. Jarod, can't thank you enough.
Oh, brother, I love this stuff.
Fantastic time.
Yeah.
Didn't take you that long to get here, so I'm assuming you're going to be coming back.
Oh, yeah, whenever, man. Especially if Shing's cooking and you're driving the boat, I'll drive the truck. Or if Tommy's driving the boat.
There we go. That's happening.
Hint, hint. If Tommy's driving the boat.
Dates on the calendar. Because that's
tuna time.
His name wasn't just Tuna Tommy, not Taco Tommy. So
that's Tuna Tommy.
We like tacos too.
I love tacos. Yeah. Now we can't talk about food again.
Tuna tacos.
Tacos, cookies, sunflower seeds. Feed me.
The whole deal. Man, really good time tonight. Really enjoyed it. Lots of folks tuning in. Appreciate you sticking with us for the full 2 hours. A lot of folks just actually signing on late here. Going to jump on and watch it from the beginning. So
very good.
Hopefully you pick up on some stuff and enjoy. It's been a fast-paced 2 hours. That's our new MO. Right? We're going to bring it to you zippity quick. Did I just say that?
You said zippity quick.
Try to keep that 1 minute commercial break so we don't put
That's awesome.
And that's enough out of you, Josh. So here we go. We will be back next Thursday, 6 p.m. right here on our Facebook channel and our YouTube channel. Check us out during the week. Share our content. Spread it around to all your friends and family and co-workers and whatnot. Get everybody on board this Fish on Northwest experience. We're coming to you live and with relevant, current information every Thursday. Want you to be a part of it during the week. Join us on our Facebook page. Post your pictures, post your comments and your questions. Share your content with us so we can be relevant for you throughout the week and enjoy your experience. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you back here next Thursday, 6 p.m.
Take your kids'